Hi, and welcome to this demo of the TrueState platform. In this demonstration, we're going to be walking through some of the features of TrueState through the example of a churn problem in a telco company. So let's just log in. So what we see here is the homepage of the TrueState platform. It's a conversational analytics platform by default. So the way that you interact and analyze data is with natural language. In our problem, we're part of a data team at a large telco that has a churn problem. We've got a bunch of stakeholders kind of breathing down our necks trying to find out answers, and we also need to have a way to try and proactively identify churn ahead of time. So let's dive into the problem. So we've got a data set of all the churn details that have been showed. So we've got here customer IDs and past instances as if they've churned or not, looking at some of the financials of the accounts, details of the plans they're on, as well as details about the individual themselves. So if we come back to the homepage, let's get started with what is the first part of what a data team usually analyzes, which is kind of this ad hoc questions. We've got a question from the executive: what's going on with churn? How can I understand who's churning? So let's just go ahead with that. How can I understand who is churning? I need to also support this story with some visualization of some sort. So we'll work through this ad hoc analysis piece first. We'll go on and build a dashboard for these stakeholders so they can interact with this data themselves, and then we'll set up our regular reports so that we're kind of proactively getting the analysis to these stakeholders. Once we've finished that work, we're going to be moving on to a pipeline. So let's go on here. It's asking us what we kind of want to look at. Let's look at all of them. I just need to tell my CEO what is going on. Cool. Behind the scenes, what's happening? We've got a proprietary Agentic framework that has a bunch of tools that are really relevant to data analytics. We've got a querying tool, we've got a data visualization tool. The agent has the ability to write reports, to build dashboards, to build pipelines, to also search the web for any supporting information. So what it's doing under the hood here is it's kind of thinking, going through a reasoning process first, and then deciding on the tools that it needs. It's using the first of the tools, which is really one of the foundational and most important tools that we have on the TrueState platform, which is the SQL query tool. The reason this is so important is that LLMs cannot be relied on for numerical calculations, which makes the idea of using them for analytics a bit confusing. But what they can do really well is they can write code, and SQL is the primary programming language that you use to extract information out of structured databases. It's the default in analytics teams. And so what we have here is the agent's going off and writing a few queries of its own to try and understand what's going on. It's looking, calculating it by contract type, by tenure buckets, by gender. It's then decided to go off and use maybe one of the second most important tools on the platform, which is to generate visualizations. So what it's doing under the hood here is it's fetched a query. So it's looking at contract type. It's evidently going to give us a visualization by contract type. It generates code to show the visualization, and then it uses this kind of reasoning loop to try and understand, okay, what is the visualization that I just created meeting the quality criteria that we at TrueState have embedded into the model to assess. So it's looking for clarity in the image principally, and to convey a clear story. And so it uses a vision model and a reasoning loop to make sure that it's meeting that criteria. So we've asked for a few, so it may go on and build a few. It's tried to build a second visualization that's failed. It has the ability to understand its own errors and write queries that self-correct. Typically when you're writing SQL queries, you come up with bugs all the time. And so the agent is no exception, but it's able to recover from its errors and go on and write the subsequent queries that it needs to write. So we'll just give this a moment while it generates a few more visualizations. I imagine it's going to be giving us a quite comprehensive overview because we asked it for the CEO. So it's, again, by gender now, and hopefully it can finish off. It might want to keep doing some more work, but let's just see. I should have just asked for a single visualization. It's going to create one for each of these, but that's okay. This typically would take, this whole analysis would take the best part of 1 to 2 days for a single analyst. So we're materially saving this telco analyst quite a bit of time here. It should, at the conclusion of all this, it will write this up and tell us what's going on. But what we'll do after this is we'll get it to generate a dashboard with these so that we can get executives to self-serve. And then what we'll do is get a report. Oh my goodness, it's having a field day here. Tenure buckets, great. This will create quite a nice dashboard, I think, actually. I'm just going to fast forward through this section. Great. So what we have here now is several different visualizations that we've got. So if we just go look at the results, we've got, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit to get I had zoomed in for the purposes of the demonstration, but let's zoom out for the rest because there's quite a lot of information we need to see here. So churn rate by gender, churn rate by contract type, churn rate by payment method, and tenure bucket. So seeing some variability in all these different dimensions, which is important for downstream modeling. So great, so it's done some executive summary, some key findings. Please can you write this up as a report, and I'll just show you in an alternative interface how we can see this. And now can you please create a dashboard with these visualizations. Great. So we can go off and we'll come back to this in a second, but this is the report that I just wrote. So we can go off and we can send this as a link to our CEO who can come in and start a new conversation and follow off where this analysis went from and essentially ask their follow-up questions directly to the agent. It's gone off and created the dashboard. It'll give us a little link here, which is nice. And so it's gone off and created an operational dashboard for us that we can share. And just like the report, any kind of internal customer of this, any stakeholder can come in and ask their own follow-up questions, because it's very rare that you would get a kind of a dashboard that doesn't have any follow-up questions. There's always kind of a unique question that each stakeholder will ask. Cool. So we've covered the base of the time-consuming stuff for analysts, and if we wanted to schedule a report, for example, if we've got stakeholders who are kind of on our tails every week, we might decide to write a report. And this is an example of a sales report, which uses a different data set. Runs 1 a.m. every Monday. You can decide to notify people via email address. And we create a prompt, and essentially what it does is goes behind the scenes and creates the same reports that we saw just before, but it does it in a kind of human out-of-the-loop modality where it can create these scheduled reports. So we'll go back to this chat and say, great, it looks like we've found some good features, some good features for a churn vacation model. Can you build one for me? So we'll jump now into the pointy end of the spear. So with all this time saved, the team can finally do what they've been kind of hunting to do for quite a while, which is now building a classification model. This will help the company to predict churn before it happens and act proactively to reduce the churn overall. So it's going to give us a link here to the pipeline. It's decided to go off and run the pipeline. That's okay. It's debugging the pipeline for us. So this is the pipeline that it's run. I'm going to stop it here. I'm going to stop it. This will run for a little second. Okay, so I noticed here, this is kind of the co-pilot aspect of the I guess advanced analytics assistant. So you, as an expert, can also feed back and say, I'm seeing this pipeline here, and I see it does a train test split, which is great, which does some training and some testing, right? But we don't have any validation at the end of it, and we also don't have any good features. So we need to add some features to this model, as well as some validation steps. Once you create the updated pipeline, try run the whole thing. And so we enter into, I won't go through the entire debugging process of this, but you essentially now enter into a way that teams can rapidly build out these data engineering, data science pipelines. So we've got essentially, it's creating all these best practice SQL code as part of a data engineering pipeline, and leveraging a lot of the custom machine learning libraries that we've built, which in this case uses a very standard classification model. It's gone off and updated the pipeline just kind of in real time. It's cleaning the data. You can see that it's by all these blue symbols that these are all pending nodes in this pipeline run. It's going off and running this whole thing as we've asked, and it will, if we ask it to achieve some sort of model performance, it has the ability to keep iterating and try and achieve that. We've got in here the ability to add a variety of different nodes. If you want to do this manually, you can. I usually just use the agent if I'm debugging something. You can add data sets, models, which we have our churn model just there that's been created. We can add an SQL or a Python step using the data transform. We can integrate data from other sources. We can write data to other sources. We can apply automations, which are essentially a sequence of LLMs on top of individual records. We can train a regressor, which is predicting a continuous variable. For example, the volume that you might expect for a certain SKU if you set the price. It's helpful in pricing models. For a tabular classifier, this is what we've used here. We're predicting a yes or a no kind of answer. We've got some explainability pieces, which are standard best practice in data science, and we've got some basic linear regressors to use as baseline models. We also have the ability to apply large language models on bulk across the entire data sets, and also make these searchable. So these open the door to a lot of creative pipelines that take unstructured data and create structure from them, and ultimately make them searchable via a RAG endpoint as well. So, yep, that's the TrueState pipeline. So in this presentation, we have gone through the ability for the TrueState agent to automate a huge amount of the grunt work that goes into the day-to-day operations of a data team, and then also with all the time they've saved, give them an easy, accessible means to build some really high value use cases. Thanks, I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Cheers.